Hello there, welcome to this video. Templates in Django can consist of static parts of the desired HTML output. It can also contain special syntax that you can use to describe how dynamic content should be inserted. So you can have a static HTML template, and within that template, you can inject dynamic content using special syntax that Django has. And one of such includes special tags. So in your static HTML file, you can use the special tags to inject some dynamic content. So you use that to specify that part of the tag should contain dynamic content. You can also add variables, so you can use special template variables, and when you're doing that, you use this type of tag, which is a double curly braces. You use that to indicate or inject special variables. You can also add filters to this special variable. So if you're using a filter with a special variable, this is how the syntax will look. So all these special template tags and variables can be specified inside the static HTML file that will enable you to inject dynamic content into the template. It is always a good idea to create the mockup design template for your Django projects, and then you move them into Django and make Django interact with them to function for the project. So there are certain steps you need to take to move the mockup design templates into Django. So this has to be done inside the app directory. So you have the main app directory of your project, and within that app directory, you create a subdirectory called templates. And within that template directory, you create another directory bearing the name of your app directory. So if your app directory, for example, is to-do list, you create another directory under the templates called to-do list. So this would be another directory with the same name. And then inside that app directory is where you transfer any HTML file you have. So any static HTML file will then be moved into this directory. So you create an empty file and then you copy the contents into it, or just copy the contents into this directory called app directory name, which would be the same name as the app directory. Another thing you have to do is create a static directory. Again, this static directory should be created under the app directory. So you create a directory called static, and then within that static directory, you create another directory with the same name as the app directory name. And then within that, you add any static files you have, like Bootstrap, and any static CSS you have. You can include that inside this directory. So this is basically the format you would use to move your mockup templates into Django. So I've got two directories on my desktop here. This is my main project directory that contains both my virtual environment, my app, and my project. And this here is my mockup design that I want to transfer into my Django project. So this is the my Bootstrap files, and this is my static CSS, and then we've got the index.html. So I'll be transferring the index into the templates directory that I'm going to create, and then I'll move these Bootstrap files and this static CSS into the static directory that I am going to create. So let me open up my text editor. So this is my app directory called to-do list. So I'm going to right click on it and create a new folder, and I'm going to call it folder templates and press enter. So I've now created a new folder called templates inside my to-do list app, and then I'll create another directory inside this template, and I'm going to call this directory the same name as my app. So I'll call it to-do list. All right, so this to-do list is the same name as the main to-do list. And once I have done that, I can now transfer my index.html into that. So if I open up this index.html, I'm going to move that into this directory I've created called inside this templates here, inside this to-do list. I'm just gonna reduce that. So I'll just copy and just paste it in there. So the index.html is now in there. So if I open up my text editor, so that's the main to-do list app. If I expand that, that's the template directory. Inside the template, I've got the to-do list directory, and then this is the index.html that I have just transferred over. The next thing I want to do is create another directory called static inside my to-do list app here. So I'll do new folder, and I'm going to call this static. So this is where my static files would be. And inside this static, I'm going to create another directory called to-do list. So I'll right click and click on new folder, and I'll call this to-do list. Okay, so now inside this to-do list of the static, I'm going to move my files into. So these are my directories. So this is the static one I just created, and then I created a to-do list directory inside that. So this is the empty to-do list inside the static. You can see the path. So now I want to move this file, this directory called BS, which is my Bootstrap files. I'll just copy that and into there and do a paste. Then I'll copy this static CSS and copy it in there. So now I've transferred my mockup templates into the Django project. So if I collapse that, expand that, go into the static, you can see within the static, I've got the to-do list. And within that to-do list, I've got the Bootstraps files, and then I've got this static.css. So make sure your directories are structured exactly as I have created them, so that Django looks for the templates in the specific locations. Django cannot use the templates as it is now because they have to be converted for Django to use them. So to do that, we'll need to create a view. View functions are basically used to display templates. So we'll create a view, and then in subsequent videos also we'll create the URL patterns so that the relevant views are displayed when a request is made. So that is it for this video on templates. We successfully moved our mockup templates into Django. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.